Hey moms, it's Laura Ollinger. Welcome to the Positively Healthy Mom podcast. Because there's no manual for the hardest job in the world. Hello everyone, welcome to the show today. I'm so excited to welcome my good friend and fellow coach, Dominika. Dominika, could you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, tell us what you do. We want to know everything.
Okay, well, thank you first of all for having me. I am so excited to be your guest. I've been watching you forever and I saw you grow, and this is so exciting to watch you run the show and introduce so many amazing people with so many amazing things to say that are so helpful to the audience. I'm a brain coach and I'm an elite neuro-encoding specialist, and I am also a mom of twins that are now age 24. So I am absolutely into motherhood, and I might say I did a pretty awesome job with my girls. So I feel quite an expert, at least on those two. I coach predominantly with people that have anxiety, depression, PTSD, self-doubt, self-loathing, overwhelm, and ADHD. Those are my predominant ones. And we get to work together and create new perspectives on how life is, take away the medication with the help of the doctor if they're on medication. If not, we work with supplements, Dr. Daniel Amen, brain health assessments, and everything else, and we recreate your life so your outside meets what you have inside, and you feel empowered, you feel loved, you feel amazing, and things that your brain does are not holding you back. So we basically encode happiness and success into your DNA using neuroscience.
I love that. And that's why I admire you so much, because you really do bring, it's the hardware and the software of the brain. So the hardware being the actual brain structure and the way the blood flow is and the way the energy, the signals are being sent, but also the software. It's the way we're thinking and the way we're feeling and what we're doing with our bodies. And so I feel like you are such a great example of how to incorporate those two things. And I've admired your work for a long time, and I love seeing what you do and how you're helping. I know you help all audiences, but moms and women a lot, and also some of their daughters and some of their kids. And so, when you get up on stage, because I know one of the big things you love to do is present and speak, what are the messages that you like to share with women?
So I think my predominant message is what's also my book is about. I truly believe that we have been lied to, that everybody needs to have a why that makes you cry, and everything has to be burn your boats, and now everything just do a revolution in your life, massive action. No, you don't. No, you don't. And there is a method, scientific method based in neuroscience, that shows that actually this only works if you're in crisis. And yes, that's, if somebody is hurting you, beating you, traumatizing you, raping you, absolutely burn your boats and run and take massive action. But if you're not in that situation, that approach will not work. And then you'll end up 2-3 months later burned out going, oh God, I'm back to square one. Nothing changed. There is a specific way to reprogram your brain, which we always teach. I know you teach that too, is celebration. That is targeted towards people who are healed. They're more or less okay. Their life is pretty much okay. No huge trauma, didn't change their brain scans. Their brains don't look different. And they're like, well, I want to have a better life, but none of my whys make me cry. I'm not into revolution. I love evolution. And I'm definitely the evolution person. I'm the person who helps you find your little tiny shifts and embed them in you and imprint them so they become natural. Because most of us, we've been told you need to be out of your comfort zone to grow. Yes. And the growth is actually possible if 80% of you is in comfort zone and only 20% is outside. Because if it's more than 20% of growth and unknown and scariness, then you become overwhelmed and you shut down and you stop doing anything. So there has to be a balance. And don't get me wrong, I love all the people. I listen to all of them, Tony Robbins, Jay Shetty, all the experts, because you can learn from all of them. But at the same time, you need to take a deep breath and say, am I in the same place emotionally that they are? would this work for me? And what other options are there? And neuroscience provides you so much phenomenal practical knowledge. So my message to moms is you're amazing the way you are. Now let's make this even better, right?
Mhm.
And let's find the progress that you want at a speed that you want so you can actually see it, will not overwhelm you, yet you will see results. Isn't that way better?
Yeah, I love that. And I'm so passionate about the way you describe it because it reminds me of I used to have this plant. I had this orchid. And I don't know if you've ever had an orchid, but like they grow and they bloom and they're beautiful and then they die. And then, but the plant's still alive, but like that one shoot becomes dead. And then eventually it'll grow another shoot. Sometimes it takes, I don't know the cycles of them, but sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes a while. So I just keep this in my window. And one day I was just staring at mine and I had a dead shoot and I had an alive shoot. And I'm looking at that and I think, wow, that's just amazing that a plant, just the way it works. And I thought that reminds me of myself. Like I was that dead part, but I then became a new version. I recreated myself. I started kind of like a new way of living my life where I wanted to grow. I wanted to improve. I wanted to encode myself with living my best life, with feeling happy, with feeling passionate, all these things. And so that was just such a great visual reminder for me every day. I would be like, every time I felt myself like going back to my old ways, or I felt myself like being sucked back into some of those bad thoughts, I would say, stop. I would literally stop myself and say, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to that dead shoot. I'm going to be in that alive, pretty, beautiful orchid shoot. So how does that imagery settle with you?
Well, funny enough, I just received an orchid from friends for some achievements that they thought were amazing, and I was super grateful. I think, one thing that I would add to your allegory to orchids is that notice that when an orchid blooms, it stays the same. Nothing is happening to it until it dies. So it's not
Mm,
constant growth. It's not like getting bigger and bigger and more bloomer, if you can say
mm,
it stays the same. And one of the things, for some unknown reason, I had this epiphany today driving. I'm like, why am I expecting everything to be always great? Because nothing in life is steady. And if it was steady, great, then I wouldn't even notice that it's great. The ups and downs are absolutely necessary to experience full capacity of emotions and life. And life is emotions. And the whole range is necessary for you to experience life the way it's supposed to be experienced. So I've decided a while back that when I'm down, I have time limit on being down. I don't take it away. I don't go, oh no, I have to be always happy, because
mhm,
then you go into something that in neuroscience is dopamine overdrive. And
mm,
that can be actually very hurtful and put you in a permanent or very long lasting heavy depression. So
mm,
that is very typical of people who are overachievers. They keep getting that dopamine. And dopamine is not a happy hormone, despite what popular psychology is saying. It
mhm,
is a good hormone, but it's the drive hormone. But
mhm,
what happens is after the drive is gone, you experience another hormone, which is prolactin. And the higher dopamine, the more prolactin. And that makes you feel, what's the point? I did everything I did. What's next? I don't feel like doing anything. I'm tired. And that is also part of postpartum depression. It happens after every big event. And if we over
mm,
celebrate it, then that becomes the dominant feeling. And people keep looking for new things to do, not to experience that, not because they want to be happy, but they're afraid of experiencing that down. And
mm,
this is the science behind what you're feeling. But it is okay to be down. So I give myself 24 hours. I whine, I cry, I eat ice cream, and nobody loves me, and I'm ugly, and I'm never going to make it, and my business is going to fail, and the whole 9 yards. But then I wake up next day and I'm like, then I go the stop technique. I allow myself to feel the whole range of emotions, perfectly knowing well that the high after those lows, like yesterday I had one of those days. Oh God, I called all my friends saying how awful I am and maybe this makes no sense. And I had a whole, pity party for myself. My friends were thinking I'm absolutely nuts and crazy, but that's okay. And today I woke up and I'm like, okay, so what's going to be great today? Because that day is over. I'm done with yesterday. I had
Mm-hmm.
my birthday party. Now, what's going to be great? And today was absolutely phenomenal. And a lot of great things happened, met some people, made some connections, got a beautiful message from a person who is not my client, but she wrote, I can't afford you, but all I can do is share. And you're the best coach I've ever seen. And I'm like, oh my God, I love you. I needed to hear that today, right?
Mm.
And it was so telling that it's okay to be down. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to have all of those things because that's part of human experience.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, if somebody tells you they're happy 24/7, they're lying. It's impossible.
Yes, I love that. And as a mom, to be able to share that message with your daughters, I'm sure has been invaluable because as teenagers, they are having really heightened emotions. The way their brain is developing is they develop in the limbic system, as like that develops more quickly and the prefrontal cortex develops last. And so that's why these big emotions it's not just hormones like everybody says, it's actually the way that's part of it, but it's the way their brain is developing. And I think it's so important to not dismiss or invalidate them when they are having one of those down days. Then we can share that message too. Like, and I actually say that with my clients. So it's funny because we're on the same wavelength like that. I had a client who's a teenage boy, and he kind of saw the writing on the wall that his girlfriend was going to break up with him. And so we were kind of like preparing for this breakup, but he was hoping to repair the situation. And so I said, you know what? Let's just plan for all scenarios. Option one is the relationship continues. Great, you win. Option two is it ends. And let's develop a plan. So the plan was, you're gonna, and I gave him a week actually for the breakup. I'm like, you feel bad, you don't leave your room, you eat junk food, you do whatever you want, you cry for a week, but there is going to be an end to this. And after the week, then you're going to start building yourself back up again. And so he agreed. He's like, yeah, I like that plan. I feel good about that plan, but it gave him some certainty in such an uncertain situation, right? Because he was feeling so anxious, like he doesn't know she's going to break up with him. But then he's like, okay, he had option A, he had option B, but either way, it was a plan. And he knew he was going to be allowed to feel those feelings. And I think that's so important to not dismiss, but we validate, we're there for them. And so how has that played out? Like when your daughters were younger, or even now, if they're 24, I'm sure they're still experiencing these things because it's a lifelong process. But how have you been able to share that message with your daughters?
So I've made a mistake when they were much younger. They were about 6, 7, and I realized there's something off. And I went to a psychologist. There were no coaches at that time, but she was actually a pretty good psychologist. And what I did is we naturally share successes. So I would come home and share with my daughter's successes. And they were under the impression that I'm this walking perfection that never fails. And that was a huge mistake. So because they felt this pressure that they're not as good as I am, they're never going to be as good this, and this didn't work out for them, this didn't, and it created anxiety, stress, and sometimes high mood swings. Add to that, hormonal changes and everything else, all the things that happen with younger and older kids when they grow and develop. So at about age 7, I believe, we started implementing crappy dinners. So crappy dinners, we would sit down and have a conversation about everything that went wrong. Then we would say how crappy it is and how awful it is and how it made us feel. And then together we would look for a solution. What would we do differently next time? And that allowed them to see that I fail. And I started talking very often about my failures, how, maybe I got fired at that time, or maybe a contract didn't go through, or maybe I got an altercation, or somebody said something about me which wasn't true and it hurt me. And I started telling them those, and they're like, oh my God, like you get that too? It's not only us. So one of the things that I've learned is that although success, has many fathers, many mothers, and everybody wants to sign under success, it is key to talk to your kids and show them how you fail and how you pick yourself up. So they take away the idea of a pedestal that they put you on. You have to be human, because that gives them kind of validation. Okay, I'm like this too. It's not only me. And we tend naturally share the successes because we're excited, right? And that makes you feel even better. Make sure, that's one of the things I've been doing since then. talk about things that didn't work out, and then, hey, how awful we feel, and then we're going to go, okay, so how would I act differently next time? That's a very important question, because it puts emphasis not on the failure, but it puts emphasis, okay, what did I learn from this? What would I do different next time? Because I want a different outcome. And your kids start to learn how to self-diagnose. And I hear my daughter sometimes having conversation going, well, that didn't work. And my daughter came to me, she goes, Mom, I've noticed that I have no problem setting boundaries at home and with my friends. But when I go to work, I seem to agree to everything, which means I don't have very good boundaries at work. How could I create them? And I was like, oh my God, thank you. I saw that, but she came to that conclusion that it's working here, not working here. And then we started, kind of having conversation. Of course, Mom, don't coach me. I don't want you to coach me. Stay away. Don't coach me. But she does come with questions, one or the other. And that was one of the things I did with my kids. We spoke about failures. Time and the quality time was super important. There's never a phone when we're spending time together. Dinners together, breakfast together, that was absolutely non-negotiable. And it was, never go mad to bed. So we would work it out sometimes 2, 3 a.m. before we would go to bed. Never go mad, work it out, find a way to feel better. And also giving each other signals like, today is not the day to talk to me. Like, today's not the day. And we had a little sticker. So we would put the stickers on the door, red, yellow, and green. If you're in a good mood, you would have a green one. If you're in a really bad mood, stay away from me mood, we would have a red sticker. And I would know that maybe if I can skip a conversation today, I'll skip a conversation. But, if it's something super important, I'll be much more aware of how I'm wording everything so they can actually, receive that in a certain way if it's absolutely mandatory. But if we can wait till next day when the sticker is green, life is not going to change in one day.
I love that. If you don't mind, I'm going to borrow that idea and share it with others, because I think that's such a fantastic thing. Because we're not always up for those big conversations or important conversations, and we do have those mood swings, and there are times when we're more receptive and others. So that's a great way to have a family system where you are sharing that information. So I just wanted to go back to the idea about the failure, because that really resonated with me. You don't hear a lot of coaches saying that. And so I'm actually so excited that you did bring that up, because I've also heard someone talk about that. And so I started doing that with my kids, not frequently, but at the family dinner table, we would say, how did I fail today? I can't remember the way we worded it, but what went wrong today? And then what went well today? And we kind of talk about it. But I heard this person a long time ago give that advice, and they said their idea behind it was that it then desensitizes the kids to the failure. So that way, when they do have the failures, they're not like overly dramatic or overly freaking out or overly reactive. It's just like, oh yeah, because I fail every day and that's part of my day. And that actually creates more resilience because we're not having such a strong reaction. What do you think?
Oh, I 100% agree. My mother could not understand my parenting style, and I let my kids fail miserably multiple times. And I would not do absolutely anything to help them unless it was necessary. I had a kind word, but I would not fix the problem. I would not find a way for them. I would not advise them. And, including when my kids were 2, they had their own refrigerator and everything was cut. And they had plastic knives, plastic forks, and they would make their own breakfast. And my mom had a heart attack almost. How could you? I'm like, no, they'll be fine. Plastic, warm butter, cut meat, cut cheese, bread, everything is cut. They just have to use the plastic knife. They'll be fine, And they were. And, the more you allow your kids to experience uncomfortableness and don't save them, the worst thing you can do for your kids is have participation trophies. The worst thing you can do for your kids is say, you have to invite everybody because somebody will feel bad. Yes, they will feel bad, and they're supposed to feel bad because they will never learn why people are not willing to be around them. They will never find out why. There's no trophy in life for coming last. I'm sorry. If you're late to work every day, you're going to get fired. There's no participation trophy. And needless to say, a few years back when I was also working in HR, I had a young lady come to me and she goes, what's the problem? I'm like, well, it's the fifth time you came at 11, you start work at 9. She goes, but I came. My brain didn't catch up really. I'm like, yes, but you start work at 9. That means yeah, but I had a problem and I had to meditate and I had to do this. And then I'm like, your work starts at 9. Other people have to take over for you. That is so important. Please, with all the respect, but you had 2 write-ups. This is the third conversation getting fired. She could not comprehend why she's getting fired. I mean, she showed up at work, right?
Yeah. She's
So
like, I'm here.
I'm here. That's it. Well, that's not it. And it's so important that we allow our kids to be uncomfortable. Our job is to provide the safety net so they don't fall too far down. But if they don't want to do something, one of the things I did with my kids, it was non-negotiable. When I'm going out, you're going with me. I don't care if you want to go or you don't want to go. You're going with me. Why? Because I would expose them to different environments and they have to find a way to find themselves in it. And with time, it allowed them to have more experiences, draw on those experiences. At the beginning, when they were, I think, 7, they were modeling dresses. And they did great with modeling, but they hated talking to people. Guess what I did? I gave them flyers and I told them that to, get, I don't know, $15, whatever, they need to talk to 50 people and give away those flyers. And this is exactly what they have to say. At the beginning, it took their, I think, 15, 20 minutes to walk up to anybody. At the end, they were flying around. Why? Because experiences are the best thing you can provide for your kids. They don't know that they need those experiences. They don't know that they need to walk up to a person and say, hi, I need to find a way. They don't know that, it's good to call somebody to order something instead of do it via text. And they're learning the human interaction, reading faces. The text is not going to grow your brain in the right way. Texting takes away the voice, the sound, the interaction, the context. Do you know that there's a study that they did on mothers and daughters and the level of joy and happiness and serotonin and oxytocin grows when a mother calls a daughter instead of texting by 40%?
Oh, wow. I did not know that. I love that study. That's really cool, right?
Calling a daughter.
Yeah, that's like saying something. That's like providing a lot of information just in that one statistic. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so yeah, as far as the experiences that you provided for your kids, I love that you kind of put them in a lot of maybe what were considered uncomfortable situations, and they found a way. They were resilient, and that just reminds me of what we see a lot of today. I don't know what if you're seeing a lot of this, but with the parents, they're so much wanting to make their kids feel comfortable, and they're so worried about their unhappiness, and they're so worried about them feeling any pain or discomfort. And so we're constantly as moms rescuing our kids and providing all these things so that they don't feel these things. And research does show that the best parenting style is the love and the empathy and the nurturing, but that it has to be balanced with the boundaries and the expectations and the values of your family, so that way they know that you do expect them to go out there and to put themselves in the world and to put themselves in uncomfortable situations, but we're not going to rescue them, we're not going to save them, we're not going to make them feel more comfortable. So how did you said your mom was very surprised with your parenting style. How did you develop your own parenting style?
So I was a teenager that ran away from home first time when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
And didn't come back for 8 months. And my mom has very low prefrontal cortex development till today. So she is so afraid of confrontation and discomfort that she would do anything and everything not to deal with the difficult things. And she does that till today. And when I left home, I was 17, I never came back. And one of the things I understood, it was that I'm stubborn, but one of the beautiful things that after reading a lot of books and learning, getting my master's degree in sociology, education, I'm a teacher as well, one of my degrees, and all of the things I've done is that despite the discomfort, the satisfaction of achievement after discomfort is 3 times as big and as if it's handed to you. And, Tony Robbins says that good times create weak people, hard times create strong people. And unfortunately, mothers are supposed to be raising their sons for them and their future wives, and the daughters for themselves and the future of society or future husbands.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are protecting, you are depriving your child of experiences and the net that you provide just in case. That's the reason why we have our prefrontal cortex developed and they don't, because we can foresee the future. And ask yourself, did it serve you that you wouldn't push yourself to do things and not go out and meet people? Guess what? If you keep doing this, you create anxiety. When you have a car accident, literally it is said as soon as possible, get behind the wheel and start driving, or the fear will grow. And that's what you're doing to your kids by protecting them. You're not serving them. So I was watching people, I'm like, I want my kids. Okay, this is gonna sound weird. They hate when I say this, but I want my kids, if I die right now, I want to have 100% conviction that they're gonna thrive in life, and I do. I prepare them for the moment I die, and the sooner they're prepared, if I die, not that I want to die, I don't want to die, but if I die right now, they're gonna be great. They know how to cook. They know how to find a job. They know how to fix something. They know how to put a work order. They know where to go when they need to pay taxes, how to find a tax person, who to ask. They have all the life skills that they need. And I can be safe that they will be okay. And that was my drive. So they have the skills, life skills, because I see friends my age or their age. It's horrible. It's horrible. They're lost. They're lost. I have a teenager that she's 18 and she has zero life skills. Zero life skills. And she's moving away to college. She's having problems with planning when to do laundry.
Oh.
That bad.
That's going to be rough. Yeah.
That's the nurturing part. That's the over-nurturing.
Right. Okay. So just to kind of recap and maybe come up with like a closing idea here. I love where this conversation went today, and just talking about resilience and talking about the lessons of, failure and that it's okay. And the one I loved at the beginning was also just to feel your feelings and to, when there are, allow yourself those 24 hours to do it all, let it all out, and then process. And my favorite part about you is just the brain science, where you bring in that explanation, because that makes sense. Like for us moms who are the overachievers and we are busy, go, and then we just like burn out, or we crash, or we lose our energy, we lose our drive, and we lose our passion. There is a reason for that, right? We talked about the dopamine and the prolactin. And so just, in summary, is there anything else that you feel like would be helpful from a brain science perspective or just a life perspective that you would love to share with the moms today?
Dear mom, you're human. That's my message number one. You're not a superhero. You're not superpower woman that can push through anything. You have rights of feeling great and feeling like crap. You have every right to be joyful and angry. And everything you feel, the less perfect you are, the better job you will do at modeling, because your kid is learning from you and they watch you. So if you're not willing to push through, they will not be either. If you're not willing to experience new things, they will not be either. They have to be a part of your life and be included in it. What was beautiful a long time ago is that when women were in clusters and we would raise kids together as a community, kids would see different, girls, for example, would see different ways of womanhood, and they could pick from different women. And they would see women in different situations with different arguments, different problems, and nothing was hidden from them. Now we're trying to pretend like there is no problems in adult life and everybody is great and it's lovey-dovey. It's not. And the sooner they get exposed at the right age with the right vocabulary, the better they'll deal in the future lives, and they'll be stronger women in a beautiful way, not in the way of, pushing through and walking all over everybody, but being strong within, being strong as women, knowing where they're going, the women that you would be proud to be as well. So that's my
Mm.
message for you ladies and for myself as well.
That's amazing. That's a perfect way to summarize everything and put a nice ending to our conversation. So how can people find you going forward?
Absolutely. So you can all find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn under either Your Brain Coach D put together, or you can find me at yourbraincoachd.com or my first and last name, Dominika Staniewicz. I'm easy to find. There are plenty of videos, and you can go also to Amazon and read a small but very mighty book called The Magic of Dreaming Big, Acting Small, and Achieving Success. And it is for people who get overwhelmed easily, with practical exercises, practical things that you can do. It's 68 pages, so you cannot get overwhelmed.
I love that. I'm so glad you brought your book up, because that has been your latest gift to the world with all your amazing knowledge and just such wise information. So thank you for the time, Coach D. I really appreciate it. And I hope to have another conversation with you again.
Absolutely would love that. Thank you, Laura, for having me. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to the Positively Healthy Mom podcast, because there's no manual for the hardest job in the world. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends.